So, good afternoon, everybody, and you're very welcome to Webinar Wednesday. We're back after our summer break from Sight and Sound Technology, and it's an all Sight and Sound Technology session this afternoon. No special, well, we do have special guests, but they're our own special guests, and we're delighted to have them. We will introduce our guests in just a moment. My name is Stuart Lawler. I'm the head of digital content here at Sight and Sound Technology, and delighted to be back for our regular Webinar Wednesday programming, which comes to you, of course, on the first Wednesday of the month. Now, today, you set the agenda in our by now legendary tech surgeries. If you have a problem of a technical nature, bring it to our tech gurus and they will aim to put it to right. Today, we are joined by Ash Cross, who's our tech support manager, and Tristram Llewellyn, who is a senior tech support engineer. I think, Tristram, got your title correct. Yeah, okay, brilliant. Yeah. And guys, you're very welcome and thanks for joining us. So if you'd like to pose a question to the guys, you can do so by either raising your hand by pressing Alt and Y, or if you're joining us on a mobile app, activating the raise hand button. And you can also do that by posting in chat by pressing Alt and H, or typing or pressing the chat button if you're on a mobile app. And I'll be keeping an eye on raised hands and chats. We do have a very tight timeline today. We're going to finish this within the hour, probably about 5 to the hour. So please, if you can keep your question as brief as possible, we would really appreciate it. And it's also very important to say that we may not be able to answer everybody's question today. We may ask you to take it offline and get in touch with our tech support team. It's very important probably to know that email address is support@sightandsound.co.uk. So if Tristram or Ash ask you today to send an email, please do that and we'll be able to follow up with you after the session. So Ash, you're welcome and thanks for joining us, and Tristram as well. Ash, you're joining us live from the Tech Support Hub, I suppose, the nerve center of where it all happens in Sight and Sound. Just tell us, we were chatting, I know earlier on today about the kind of, I'm always interested to know what kind of queries, what are the most popular calls you get, or the queries that are maybe most frequent that come into the help desk?
Sure, yeah. Hello everyone, first of all, thanks for having us. Pleasure to be here. So the sort of most popular kind of queries that we get in the tech support desk, I'd say things like resets of licenses, or authorization code related things. Might be things like trouble downloading a file or downloading an installer for one of the bits of software.
Okay.
When new products are released as well, we tend to get a lot of questions surrounding that product. And then generally like training type sort of questions like how to use a product, like little basic things like that can be quite popular.
What is the Tristram, maybe, and I know you've been doing this for a long time as well, when people call up tech support, sometimes they're feeling anxious. We all want our problem solved as quickly as possible, but there are things people can do to almost help you solve that problem for them, aren't there?
Yes, thanks for having us. Yes, there are some really useful bits of info that people can provide. If you know it, the serial number is really handy, because that can help us find out if a product is under warranty, or if it's a software product, maybe what version it is. So having a serial number is really useful. And then if you're having a problem of some kind, it's always good to have sort of like, I do step 1, step 2, and then after that I have a problem. So we have something that's quite concise as a way of a description. That really helps as well, because then we can try and test it here if necessary.
Okay, really useful tips there, because obviously we all want our problems to be solved as quickly as possible, get back to what we were doing, and we don't want technology to get in the way. So it's a good few tips there to help help you and to help the team to help you as quickly, as efficiently as possible. Ash, I know you and the guys and people like James Everson and some other people at Sight and Sound have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to build a whole new system that's seriously going to enhance the way in which you can provide tech support and the way in which customers will access tech support. Can you give us a bit of a sense of what's been happening?
Yeah, definitely. So previously we were using, won't mean much to anyone, I suppose, but it was called ConnectWise Manage. That was a system we used for our support desk. It was good, what we needed it for, but we wanted we wanted a lot more in terms of what we could offer to the end user, and to help us essentially speed up solutions that we can offer people, really. And to give people other options, other ways of contacting us, that kind of thing. So yeah, we took on this new system called Zoho. And it's really powerful in the sense that, well, one thing is we now get live chat, for instance. We didn't really have that before. And in the modern world, that's quite a popular method of reaching out to a support team. So we really wanted the live chat as an option. So that's now available. That's live now. So you can go on our website and you can go to the support page on their website, sightandsound.co.uk, and then yeah, just hit support, and there'll be an option to chat to someone live there. So if you don't want a phone or you don't want to email, that's a good alternative as well. A few other things like remote support. I mean, we've always kind of had that, but the remote support offered in Zoho is more powerful in the sense that we used to use one built into Windows called Quick Assist. We'll still use that from time to time, but it is quite basic. You can't do things like copying and pasting, and not very easily anyway. So that just makes our life easier, and ultimately the user's life a bit easier, makes things a bit quicker for them. And then also like our knowledge base now as well. So we've always had a knowledge base. By that I mean, you know, any known issues, any frequently asked questions or whatever, we'll store them in an internal database where we can all pull that knowledge together. But it's never been customer facing, which seems like a real waste of knowledge. So we've now got that available on our website. So again, on our support page on our website, it's got a new look, a new interface, and you can search for any issue you might be having. And if it's in our knowledge base, if it's a known issue, then there may be a fix for you in there. So it enables customers to kind of self-solve. They don't have to then contact support, and maybe it's out of hours or on a weekend or something, and they can solve an issue quite quickly themselves, which is really good to have. And that's always expanding as well. That knowledge base will always put stuff in there and keep it up to date and relevant.
I was just thinking that about the knowledge base. You could have somebody sitting trying to solve a problem at 10 o'clock at night, when the office is closed, but they can look at the knowledge base, and presumably, Ash, as you find, if something comes up in the tech support desk, that's being added to then in the knowledge base, so the info is current.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Tris, who's in on this, he kind of oversees that as well, make sure it's all up to date and relevant and easy to follow, which is an important thing as well. You know, we'll lay it out really clear and concise. It will have the problem listed, and then it will give you step-by-step solutions in most cases. So nice and easy.
Okay. Just talk to us about maybe the live chat for a sec. As somebody who's managing the tech support team and the service, has that enabled you guys potentially maybe to deal with more people? I know that sometimes you hear about call centers where there might be people having 2 or 3 chats simultaneously, and they're just moving between them to get to more people. Or are people sort of trying out the live chat at the moment?
Yeah, so we'll kind of multitask that if someone's on the phone, because of live chat, you can multitask doing that anyway. Some people take a while to respond anyway, so we'll just sit on that and might be on a call as well. But to be honest, we don't get too many of them coming in. It's not like we're getting loads of live chats all the time. I think our main channel tends to be phone calls and emails still, but maybe that will kind of evolve and change in the future. But
okay. And the other thing, I suppose it might be worth saying, when people do send an email into support, they get a ticket with a number. That number is kind of important, isn't it? If they're talking to somebody maybe later on, that they're able to quote that number or find it somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. As you asked Tris earlier about the sort of things we like to have in advance. So if you're calling for support, serial number and definitely the ticket number. If you've already got one, definitely that would help us find your ticket quicker.
Okay, brilliant. Now, we did have a query that came in by email before we started from Bhavesh, and Bhavesh has a few questions, but one that Tris, I might put to you, because I know you talked about this with us on a podcast quite a while ago, and it's that question: should I or should I not upgrade to Windows 11? So he's running Windows 10, and he says every so often he gets the notifications that Windows 11 is available, and it's a big question. I suppose, should he upgrade? What are the benefits? Do you think by now Windows 11 is stable enough and tried and tested enough that people can upgrade without problems?
Okay, let's take all of that. If you're using an Access Technology product, i.e. JAWS or Zoom Text or Fusion, in order to get to Windows 11 and not have any particular problems, you probably need to be on the 2022 version or later, really. So, or be prepared to upgrade to the current version. So that would be the first thing you'd want to really take care of. And also, any other software or hardware that you've got attached to that computer, you want to know that that's going to work with Windows 11. So sometimes that requires a little bit of research. And the other kind of element of it really is that, are you the sort of person who likes the challenge of having things change a little bit, or are you the sort of person that just want to get on and do whatever you need to do? I mean, the situation as it is at the moment is that Windows 10 has kind of more or less reached the end of its life cycle. If you've got a Windows 10 and it says it's on version 22H2, it's going to get no more new features. It might get some security updates, but it's not going to get any new features. So effectively, it's just sort of treading water from now on until Windows 10 finally comes out of support, which is 14th of October 2025.
It's
So
not that
that's
far away, really.
it's not that far away,
Mm.
but you have a little bit of time to kind of suss out all the other potential gotchas with it. I mean, I don't think there's any showstoppers in Windows 11 with either Zoom Text or JAWS or Fusion, particularly. But at the same time, there isn't anything that I can think of. But absolutely, if you are an Access Tech user, that Windows 11 is really going to give you that you absolutely need. But so that's the best way of sort of coming at that sort of question. So you got a bit of time.
I know when I tried it out, Tristram, or when I was looking at it first, it kind of felt to me, if you tab in a certain way, you might come across an extra control, or you might have to do 3 tabs instead of 2 tabs to do something.
Yeah.
But nothing, as you say, hugely changeable that was going to really upset your usage.
Yeah, I mean, so long as you're prepared to do a little bit of tabbing around, maybe, and just searching for things, then you probably can work your way around it. I mean, I discovered actually not too long ago that you can add. There were certain things on the start menu that I was missing quite a lot, like the link to your documents folder or stuff like that, and you can pop that back in to the Windows 11 start menu in a way that I didn't know you could. So you can do a little bit of configuration to make things a bit smoother.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's nothing fundamentally missing, but you might have to slightly rework your steps that you're more used to.
Okay, good to know, and I think some really great suggestions there. Thanks, Tristram. Just while we're just a quick reminder again, people, if you would like to raise your hand, Alt and Y, or click the raise hand button. We're waiting. The guys are waiting for a couple of questions. So if you have a really tough question, send it in here, and we'll see how we get on. Ash, the other query that Bevesh had was around the Pearl camera, which of course is a really useful piece of kit. That's sometimes maybe underestimated, I think. And he's had a Pearl camera for a couple of years, didn't really use it for a long time, but started recently. He says there's a button at the bottom of the screen, so he's able to scan a page. There's a button at the bottom of the screen that should allow him apparently to copy the text to Word or open Word, but that button doesn't seem to do anything. Do you have you seen that or any info on that?
Is it Bavesh? Was it from that? Was
Yes,
from it?
yeah.
Okay, I see he's in the webinar today.
Oh, he's
hi,
here,
Bavesh.
yeah.
So just a couple of questions I'll probably have for that. It may be one we'd need to remote in for possibly, but just a few questions up front maybe. Is it using OpenBook or JAWS? Because I know the Pearl camera, you can kind of use it with either. So that would be quite important to finding the answer for you.
Okay. So that's if you're just using JAWS as an OCR device, there'll be a different experience to using it as an open book scanner. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, so I just need to know that first, and then I probably need to just check it on my side and do a bit of testing. So probably not one I can solve quickly, as in this webinar. I think I'll be better taking it offline just so I can test it properly and give them a proper answer.
Okay.
And maybe remote support is needed as well. So, but if you can find that out, that'll be great.
Okay, thanks, Ash. And Babish, if you want to email in or if you want to raise your hand, we'll happily chat to you. So we do have a few raised hands, guys. So we're going to start off with Rosie Keast. So Rosie, you should be able to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your question for the guys.
Oh, hello.
Hi
Hi,
there.
Rosie.
Hello. I was just wondering about JAWS when you're using Zoom, because I've been in Zoom meetings where the chat is sort of, is there any way of turning off? Because you need it to work your way around, don't you? But sometimes the chat gets in the way, and also people entering the room and leaving the room. Is there any way of turning those off? But
One for
the
Stuart,
rest
that
of
a bit. Stuart's the
Oh my
master of
God, he
both.
throws it right back to me.
the
I think I may have even spoken to Rosie about this before, so now I'm under pressure. I see there is a few. There is the option to what's it called? Speech on demand. Sorry, alt space with the letter S will turn on the JAWS speech on demand, which means that JAWS will only read when you issue a JAWS command, as opposed to reading everything on the screen as it appears. I don't know if you've done that, Rosie. That might be the
okay.
one
No,
would
I
suggest.
haven't. No.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten that I'd brought it up. It's just, it just happened recently. That was the reason. So, okay. So because it also happens often, I can be, if I'm sort of hosting the meeting, I'm reading through a Word document. So I need JAWS to be able to read through the Word document.
Yes.
And work its way around Zoom, really, but just
yeah.
not.
I'm just thinking of another keystroke within Zoom. If you stay in the meeting window, Alt, Windows, and I will turn off Zoom alerts. But when you leave the meeting window, those alerts do come back on. But if you were just going to stay in the meeting window, if you were presenting or you had some notes, Alt, Windows, and I will turn it off.
Yeah. So okay, brilliant. I think that's what I need. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Rosie.
Tech support, Stuart.
No, I'm not good enough for you guys, Ash, but thank you. Okay, Brill, thanks for that, Rosie. We're going to keep going, and hopefully this is one for Ash and Tris, not for me. So we've James Bizzoni. James, you should be able to unmute yourself. There you go. How are you?
Oh, well, thank you. I have a Braille question. You were talking about Windows 11 just now. Well, I've got the L Braille, and the L Braille is stuck on Windows 10. And you can't upgrade it easily because you have to have special software, which they were promising before, of course, we didn't then hear anymore. So is the L Braille still being supported, and will that be made to work with Windows 11 at some point?
Good question. Someone else, I know we've had a ticket about that very thing recently, so bear with me. I'll have a little look on our ticket system to see if we come up with a solution for that.
Yeah, and while Ash is doing that, I know you can, and I have not done this because I don't have access to an L Braille anymore, James, but I know you can put Windows 11 on it. But the problem with it is you have to, I believe, re-image or rebuild the device, which effectively means, like, I suppose, resetting it to factory defaults and reinstalling the operating system. So you would have to put everything back on it, which is probably not ideal.
That's what my colleague James said to this other user that had the same exact query.
So when we first did it, when I forget what her name, Svetlana, wasn't it? She said that it was awkward to do yourself, and she was going to supply some software to get round it, but it never happened.
Right. I think in the meantime, what we've been doing is just sending out a USB installer, and then we basically taught you through the process over the phone.
Okay.
That's what we've done in the past, and that's worked okay. So we'd probably suggest doing that. We'll send you the USB stick with the Windows 11 image on it, and talk you through it. Or we can do it in the office, whichever's easier. But yeah, it can be a bit tricky.
Yeah, you've got all the passwords for your 365 and all the rest of it.
Yeah, that's it, because it formats everything. So
yeah, okay. The other query I have is about the Braille display itself. The that is the what's it called?
The focus.
Focus. That's right. Yes, the keystrokes are changing in Windows 11. You used to do Shift F10 to get the context menu to unzip a file, but now it's changed to F10, and then you have to write arrows several times. Now that doesn't appear, for example, in the RNIB website because they're talking about Shift F10. Shift F10 still works on the QWERTY keyboard. but it doesn't work on the focus. Now, I don't know whether you've got a focus there, Stuart, whether you know about these things, whether you're new of that.
I'm just grabbing the focus off my desk, James.
Or,
Yeah, that's interesting. It's not something I've
have
heard
you
of.
joined the camp of the enemy and gone to a QWERTY keyboard?
If I was to do, gosh, yeah, because you need lots of hands to do these things with the focus, don't you? So it would be .178 chord followed by the letter J. I think should give you should give you Shift F10.
Yeah, that's right. It's one. Where are we? It's 7 4. Sorry, 7 1. That's right. 7 1, and then there's 7 1, then the 8, and then the 0. That's right. Yes.
And that's not working for you.
It doesn't. Those chords work, but it doesn't produce the result.
It doesn't put the Shift F10.
It doesn't put the Shift F10 in, but it
James,
does F10.
I'm going to need to test that myself on the website. If you don't mind, even just sending me an email and just say, did you get any results? Because at least I can come back to you directly about that.
Okay, because I thought you just get that right with the Shift F10. It's Shift F10. So as I say, it's spacebar, the F, the 8, and then the 1 and the 7.
Yeah, and then J.
And then
okay.
J.
Yeah, James, I'll check that out, and we might chat about that offline.
Yeah,
can we figure out what's going on?
Which other people need to know about, because they're trying to unzip files and they won't be able to. You can still do it, but you have to press the F10 and then do the Shift arrow 10 times. Do the Control Shift right 10 times. Then it works.
Okay, that's not ideal. Not ideal at all.
Right,
James,
okay.
thanks a mil for your question.
Thank you, and thank you for those 2 bits about the L braille. Appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you. Okay, just before we go on to the next hand, I did give some misinformation. Ashley, you don't want me in tech support. I said Control Alt and I. It should have been Control Alt and S, or sorry, Windows Alt and S, not Windows Alt and I. So apologies, I just checked out that keystroke. So we have a raised hand from Roy Warner. Roy is a regular attendee. So Roy, you should be able to unmute yourself. And I'd love to hear your question.
Hi.
How are you, Roy?
Thanks very much for the help recently. I'm a Cinnaband user, and I noticed that the app had went down, and I couldn't get it. The GPS is now back, but I noticed the My Places or Places Around You doesn't work. Any ideas?
So the app went down, but is the app back up now? But you're just losing features.
Well, the GPS fixtures went. The app was working with the Cinnaband.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't give any mapping or GPS features or anything at all. Now I sent a wee note to the tech desk, and they got back to me and said, "Yeah, oh yes, we're having the same problems here now. They discovered as well, but the GPS is back on this week. But the only feature now is My Places, the places around you. It doesn't seem to be working."
Okay.
Any idea?
Let me check for you. And you say you spoke to a help desk. Was that our help desk or Sanu
Your help
directly?
desk, SNS help desk was very good. You know, I sent them a text, an email online, and they come back to me saying, "Oh, yeah." They had discovered that it wasn't working for them either. So
okay, bear with me. I'll just have a little look for you. What was your name again? Sorry,
Roy Warner.
Sorry, thank
Roy.
you.
So the rest of the GPS features seem to be working. It's just this, you know, it'll tell you point your phone in the right direction and put the band, it'll go. But it's just when it says My Places,
So it's as though
I see.
It's as though the places have gone, Roy, or something, is it?
Yeah,
Since
they've all
this thing
gone.
went down. Okay.
These are local places around you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I found your ticket because I see you spoke to James, didn't you?
Yes, he was very helpful.
A week or so ago. So I can see the ticket, and he's trying to escalate it to Sanu himself.
You can let him know it is fixed. Apart from the My Places, GPS is returned on Monday there.
Right. Okay. Oh, so the issue's resolved, but you're just not getting the places and stuff.
Just the places, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But just to let you know that, but to see if there's any more information about the My Places feature.
My Places. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. I'll reopen I'll sort of amend the ticket. I'll let James know that.
And thanks for your help. Appreciate it.
Yeah. No worries.
Thanks a million, Roy. Thanks.
No.
Good to talk to you.
I'll keep listening. Thanks.
Good. Thanks a million.
Thank
you, Roy. Cheers. There's a name you don't hear it for a while. Ash, the Sunu band was still around, and it's funny. There's some people who really love it, isn't there?
Yeah. And then you got that new we've got like a new product, haven't we, called the WeWalk, which uses similar sort of technology.
Yeah.
But only it's kind of attached to the cane. It's kind of like a Sunuband attached to a cane in a way. So yeah, that's a neat product.
It's certainly interesting times ahead. There's a lot of wearable tech, a lot of people coming out with new tech that's going to, they say will help people as they're traveling. So we'll have to watch this space over the next little while and see what sticks and what doesn't. Okay, so we're going to go to Catherine Hill, and then after Catherine, we're going to go to Sandra Gare. And then anyone else, if you want to stick your hand up, you can do so. Alt and Y, or access the raise hand button. And Ash and Tristram would be delighted to have your queries. So Catherine, you should be able to unmute yourself. And we'd be delighted to hear your question, Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Hey.
How are you?
Yeah, I've not been around. I'm good. Not been around for a while. Basically, I've got a problem with my Sense 6, whereby I can't actually get into the upgrade area at all. Like I hit it and it just takes me back to file menu.
Well, so you go into you found the option in the utilities menu, have you? You found the option to upgrade it, but when you enter on it, it doesn't do anything.
You find it, you hit it. Yeah, it just takes you straight back to the file menu, to the top.
I know
Catherine,
sometimes. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, do you have a pin on that machine? Is there a pin on the device?
Is there a
pin?
like
a pin number you have to enter when you turn it on?
Yeah.
So this is a bug that apparently some people have experienced it, some people haven't, but the suggestion is to disable the pin temporarily to run the upgrade.
Okay.
So you'll have to turn the pin off in the Android system settings.
Okay. The other thing was I was going to ask you a little bit more about the Sense player. Like how much is it, and like what are its sort of features and benefits?
I can take that one if you like.
Yeah, thanks, Ash.
Based in the UK, are you, Catherine? Not Ireland.
You're based in the UK, Catherine, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm Scotland.
Scotland,
yeah,
okay.
UK.
Okay. Braille Sense 6 pricing is, so it's currently at 4395. We always quote excluding VAT. I assume you probably registered VI, so you wouldn't be paying the VAT. Yeah, 4,395 is the cost for a new Braille Sense 6. In terms of like features, I'd probably direct you to our website, or we've got, I know Stuart's done loads of like videos on YouTube to talk about a lot of the benefits. I don't want to take up too much time going over the benefits, unless you've got any quick things you can think of, Stuart. I'm just conscious of time.
Yeah, probably a lot of the stuff, Catherine, that you might be using already, the email and word processor. There's integrated file manager with things like OneDrive and Google Drive now.
Modern Android as well, isn't it? Which is good.
Yeah, there's going to be a newer Android update coming very soon. So yeah, definitely worth.
Download apps from Google Play as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it have Bluetooth?
Yes.
On it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I have a stream, but the streams don't have Bluetooth, so I can't put it onto my actual hearing aid, which would be great to do.
Yeah, it has Bluetooth.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, Catherine, thanks for your question.
Yeah.
Take care. Thanks a million. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go to Sandra, and then if anyone else wants to raise their hand, if anyone else has a question, please feel free to put your hand up, Alt and Y to raise your hand, or access, or you can activate even the raise hand button. So Sandra, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you. I was getting a bit worried there because I haven't received the unmute button. This is going to be a very awkward silence. Anyway, question and a puzzle. So my question is how to use the chat in Teams, because every time I've gone into Teams, like, okay, you can ask your questions now, put them in the chat. All I can do is tab around to raise hand, camera, and leave, and all those sorts of things, and seems to do anything with the chat.
Sorry. Yeah, Ash, do you have any thoughts on it?
I know a lot of the keystrokes. I think there's a mixture of JAWS specific keystrokes for Teams, but also Microsoft have their own keystrokes. So
Okay.
we could link you to. Is there any like specific keystroke, or like we could link you to an area like a page where it gives you all of the keystrokes for navigation? I don't know if that would help.
Yeah, I suppose if you don't know the one offhand for getting the chat and writing things.
What was it? For getting the chat window.
To go into the chat. I think one of the things with Teams is that it is quite frequently changing. So I think at the moment,
because I did go on to a tutorial on Freedom Scientific once, and I thought, oh goody. And then when I was in Teams in real life, none of it actually worked.
I think Control 2 is that.
That goes into the chat. Yeah, I think when you're in a meeting, there's a little. You mentioned, Sandra, the area of the calls where you can raise your hand. There's an area in there called conversation that you can go into, and that's meeting. That chat would be specific to the meeting that you're in.
Yes, exactly. Rather than because the only chats that the tutorial sort of mentioned was when you were chatting and it was just a chat, rather than a Teams meeting and then the speaker is finished and then it put something in the chat sort of thing.
You can also use the JAWS key with H, I do believe, inside in Teams.
Okay.
To get a list of shortcuts.
Okay then.
Also, the thing is, like, one thing to bear in mind if you've got the Teams desktop app, like Control 2 by default will take you to chat view. However, if you've got a slightly different, so you can pin different items on the sidebar of Teams, and that's where Control 2 or Control 3 or whatever is taking you. So if you've pinned an extra one in there, Control 2 will always take you to the position 2. I'm probably not making much sense, but for me it's Control 3 because chat's the third item in my list, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how to pin anything. That's all I can do to get into a Teams meeting successfully, and so pinning is beyond me. So whatever order they're in.
So it should be Control 2 for you then.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. And my other question, I suppose, is more of a conundrum, is about my iPhone. If you're open to iPhone questions,
we can try.
So a couple of weeks ago, my iPhone, it behaved as though it had died, but I knew it hadn't. It was still life in it because it was still making haptic noises, but there was no speech and there was nothing on the screen. So I had sighted help to confirm that bit. So nothing really helped apart from letting it go flat completely and then charging it up again, and then it just sort of came to life. But it left me without a phone for about a day and a half. So I'm just wondering if there's any thoughts about why or how that happened and how to prevent that from happening again.
Yeah, that's a little hard to kind of guess at.
Okay.
The one thing I would say though is that usually the 3 quick presses on the home button of yours is of that type of iPhone usually will get the accessibility options open.
It wasn't an accessibility issue though, it was a phone wide issue.
No, I understand that, but on all iPhones that have got a home button on them, you should be able to press it 3 times in succession quickly, and that should then get the accessibility choices to open up. And that if VoiceOver has stopped working or crashed out for some reason, that ought to be able to get it back up and going.
I guess though, because you had the sighted person confirm that the screen was just non-responsive.
There was no. Yeah, it wasn't about speech. It was about the whole phone.
What about like force restarting the iPhone? I think there's a combination of keys you can press. Like if it's not responding, you can force restart it, and that can sometimes get it back into life.
Yeah, the ones on the ones that have got the home button on them, you hold the power button down for a few seconds, and then on the ones that don't have a home button, it's power button and volume, I think it is, that you hold down, and then you can usually choose to restart the phone that way.
Yeah, it looks like there's a few different. Depends what. Have you got a volume up and down button and a home button on your iPhone?
I have.
This one says press and quickly release the volume up button, then press and quickly release the volume down button, then press and hold the side button.
And then when the power button,
and then when the Apple logo appears, only when the Apple logo appears should you release the side button, and that does a cold like a force restart.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was tried and
Right.
nothing actually happened. But what I would like to know is why it doesn't make any noises. I mean, generally, like when it's not misbehaving, why it doesn't make noises when it starts up. So it makes a sort of noise when it powers down, but
Right.
because you hold the power button to start it up, and then as you say, the logo appears. Now I have to sort of do it by timing it, kind of, because it doesn't make any noises.
I don't know if that's just a design thing. I'm not an iPhone user. Perhaps
Okay.
if you two.
It's really got all to do with Steve Jobs. Really, he doesn't.
Okay.
He never liked noises
didn't want
to be made
noise.
from phones. He didn't like it, so he didn't want it on the iPhone.
Now,
So that's the reason.
saying that, yeah, and I think I just read an article actually, Sandra, the other week about, I do believe if for people who have iPhone 14s, there is a feature they released in the latest iOS update, I think, that lets you enable a sound. Exactly what you're saying when you turn it on. It doesn't work for me because I have an older phone, but they might bring it to
I've
the
got
older.
the one that was released last year, the 2022 SE.
Right, I have the same handset, but I think Tristram is correct. I think Steve Jobs didn't like sound, didn't like buttons, so that's why there's.
Because you also don't get any special sound if it posts up a dialogue to say your battery's running low. It'll appear, but you don't actually get any sound otherwise.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
in my previous iPhone, you used to get a noise with that, but you just get the dialogue now because speech will read the dialogue, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one for Apple. Get on to Apple and tell them you want sound in the future.
Yeah.
What Tris was saying, what Stuart said about the startup sound, I can tell you where to go to find that setting if it would help. Or
oh yeah.
Okay, will it work in an SE 2022?
I think it's only on the 14 at the moment. They might push it out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they might roll it out
to be.
They might roll it out to be earlier ones, possibly.
They might. Yeah,
fair enough.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Sandra. Good to speak to you. Okay, that was Sandra. Great to get. See, you never know what questions you'll get on these shows. So we're going to go to David Stevenson, and then we're going to go to Ian Lackey. So, David, you should be able to unmute, and we'd love to hear your question. Hiya, David.
Can you hear me or not?
We can indeed. How are you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah.
Good.
Is it worth keeping more than one version of JAWS in case you have problems with another and you need to operate certain features at times?
We do get that question quite a lot, to be fair. I'd say it's kind of you don't need to have the older ones at all. I'd say it's just a matter of whether you care about the space. It doesn't take up much space, to be fair.
Yeah,
JAWS.
I mean, the only thing that's a little bit awkward as a JAWS user is you can't uninstall the earlier version without disabling the automatically start JAWS. So it's not something I generally would advise anybody to do themselves unless they're quite happy to start JAWS from a desktop that's not speaking.
Yeah, because sometimes it opens the older version, doesn't it?
Yeah, so when you uninstall any JAWS, it will just disrupt the automatically start JAWS feature. So, and there's no way kind of around that unless you have a shortcut key on the desktop, maybe to start your JAWS. So, as of habit, people have tended to sort of leave the existing ones in there, and sometimes that turns out to be rather useful if your current version seems to go for a Burton. So you don't have to, and it's a little bit awkward. If for some reason you want to clear up the space, might be worth a call to tech support. We can always do that for you and make sure that your current version is going to start up automatically.
And also, if you do uninstall for any reason, then we'd probably advise don't remove shared components. It should come up with that notification during the uninstall. But if you say no to that because you do want to keep those, otherwise it will affect the current version more so.
Well, they're shared components.
Yeah, exactly.
And with regard to the focus displays, is there any way of disabling the wheels?
You mean, are you talking about like an old Focus Classic?
Yeah.
With whiz wheels. To cast my memory back to
that's a very old. That's a really old one. Yeah.
Yeah. Disable the whiz wheels. You probably can. If you bear with me, I'll have a look.
So what we might do, David, if it's okay, if we find information on that, we'll put it in before the end of the show. Okay.
And my final question is, with some versions of when I come onto these webinar meetings, I find it difficult to unmute sometimes.
Yeah, you're not alone with that. And Zoom, we just talked about Teams always changing. Zoom is kind of always changing as well. So there is sometimes the mute button isn't, or the option isn't always in focus to unmute. I need to look into something else that might help us with that in the future, help us to unmute people automatically. So watch this space. We might have something on that later on.
That's fine.
Thanks, David.
That answers my questions.
Good to speak to you. Thanks, Emil.
Cheers.
And if we find out any more information on those whiz wheels, Ash is on the case. Okay, so let's go to Ian. Ian Lackey. Ian, you should be able to unmute yourself. And I'm just going to send another unmute request. I'm not sure if, there we go. We have you, Ian.
Okay. Yes, it's just a big different information because she was actually asking the sales player. But she looks a lot less if you see it 95 times. So she's actually asking the sales player.
Ian, your connection is really, the audio is really, really difficult to hear.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's breaking up too much.
Yeah,
All I heard was sense player, I think.
Something about the sense player. I'll tell you. Ian, maybe do you want to try logging off and come back onto the meeting, and we'll see can we come back to you, because the audio is really difficult to hear for whatever reason. So apologies for that. I know there was a question about the sense player, and we'll try and get back to that. So we're going to go to Harry Mead, and just before we go to Harry, a quick reminder: if anyone else has a question, we have about 15 or so minutes with the guys still, with Ash and Tristram. If you'd like to raise your hand, Alt and Y, or you can activate the raise hand button, and we'd love to hear your questions if you have any tech issues. So let's go to Harry. Hiya, Harry.
Hi, good afternoon, Stuart. Good to speak to you again.
And you too.
Quickie question. I wanted to check, I'm currently running JAWS 2023. When is it going to be that it's time to update my SMA? Part one of the question. Part two, is there going to be a discount this year at Site Village? I saw something that our colleagues in America are certainly getting a discount. So I just thought I'd ask. I don't think there was one offered last year.
Well, we don't have an answer on the Site Village one, first of all, because Vispero haven't given us any indication yet. Right. There was some discounted offers at Site Village in Birmingham where you could upgrade from any version to the current version, but we don't have we don't have any other information, Harry, yet. I'd say just keep an eye on our social media or the newsletter or just anything on the website, because like as soon as we hear, we'll be putting it out there. And the other question was about,
when's the SMA going to need to be renewed? Because I'm currently on 2023.
Sorry, yeah. So they usually release the next version of JAWS at around the end of October, and I think the indications we've been given is that it will be the same this year.
Okay.
So you would cool. if you renew before that time, you'll be fine.
Okay, look. Well, want to renew before, but it'd be quite interesting to be able to get some discount as a long-term client. Good.
Yeah. Well,
Great.
we've certainly heard the feedback, and we'll see what we can do about it.
Okay, look. I can't say further than that. Good.
Thanks a million, Harry. Good to talk to you. Take care.
You. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay. And I have no more raised hands. Look at that, guys. We've got through. Oh, we have James. James is back, just as I said. No, and I have Rosie as well. So we'll go back to we'll do James first, and then we'll come to Rosie, because that's the order in which I see the hands raised. If anyone else wants to put their hand up quickly, you can do so. We have about 10 minutes before the end of this session. James, you should be able to unmute yourself. James?
Does that work?
Yeah, we
Hello.
have you.
Yeah, okay. I'm using a Braille Sense 6 on occasion, and you can grab information from a document and paste it into another, and that's fine. It comes up in grade 2 Braille using the notepad. But if you add stuff to the document using the P cord, it comes up in computer Braille. I don't know why that is. They don't have to resolve that issue.
So
Yeah,
it goes in computer Braille. Is the grade set on the Braille Sense?
It's set to grade 2.
It is set to grade 2. Okay.
Yeah, and the first time it comes through, it's fine. If you just do a copy command, it comes through. But if you add to the clipboard, it comes up as computer Braille. So you get 2 different grades within the same clipboard.
Not something I've come across.
I
To
have
be
not
honest, I
come
don't know
across
if
it
any
either,
of you
but
two have, but I would say we'd probably need to test it here and maybe even speak to HIMS.
Yeah.
So I'd probably suggest, Jim, if you maybe just drop us an email or
Yeah, we'll do, yeah.
to support, and we'll make sure we look into that for you.
Thank you.
It sounds like a bug, but hopefully not. But it's kind of sounds like it could be a possible bug. Are you on the latest firmware?
Yes, 7, I think it is. Yes.
Okay.
It tells me I can't upgrade anymore. I did try it.
Yeah.
all right. Okay, you're definitely okay. Yeah, we'll have a look, and we can also log that if there is an issue. We can create a log that shows the guys in HIMS, hopefully, what's going wrong. That's a good one, definitely. So thanks for that, James.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, right. After saying that we've no hands, we do have a few hands left. So I'm going to go to Rosie, and then I'm going to go to Mitra, apologies, Mitra. And then I'm going to go back to Catherine Hill has a hand up, and Ian is back. So listen, let's just, out of fairness, because he hasn't had a chance to speak yet, let's go to Ian first, because he had flaky audio. Hopefully Ian with no flaky audio, and then we'll go back to Rosie. I hope you don't mind, Rosie, because I know Ian was trying to get in earlier on. So Ian, you should be able to unmute yourself. And I know you had a question about the Sense player. Hi,
No,
Ian.
can you hear me now?
Much better.
I'll tell you why that was, as a warning to people, I think, is because I had my phone airplaying to another speaker, and that seemed to cause all sorts of trouble. Anyway, it's just that I think Catherine was actually asking about the Sense player, and I think you told her about the book Sense 6, because you quoted a price of £4,395.
Braille Sense 6.
So it's the Sense player, I'm sure, that she was actually asking
the Sense
about.
player, apologies. Okay. So yeah, so in that case, it was just about the feature set, the fact that it's a digital book player and has an FM radio, web radio, Daisy player, media player, recorder. It can run Android apps. And sorry, Ash, I put you on the spot. I don't know if you have a price.
£475.
Bro,
that's a wee bit different.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Ian, because I completely missed that as well. So my apologies. I should have picked that up. But thank you for that. We appreciate it. I think we should bring you in as a co-host for the next session.
Oh, I don't know.
All right. Thanks, Ian. We appreciate that very much. And thanks for coming back as well and for persevering. Okay. So Rosie, we'll bring Rosie, then we'll bring Mitra, and then we will go to Catherine. So Rosie, you should be able to unmute yourself. I don't know, Rosie.
Hello. Yeah, I am here.
How are you doing?
Mine was just a quick question about the iPhone after the last person. So if I have VoiceOver on the iPhone, and then I 3-finger triple tap to turn the speech off, but the haptics still remain, is there any way of turning those off as well? It's not, well, I don't know if haptics is the right word, because it's a sound, you know, sort of beeping sound as you move your finger around the iPhone. I just wondered if there was any way of...
I think there's a way of turning off those navigation sounds. It's somewhere buried in the VoiceOver settings.
Oh, okay.
So yes, you can do that.
Yeah.
But you have to get into the settings app to do it.
Right. Okay. So it's not like a quick. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no.
Lovely.
Yep.
Thank
No,
you.
but actually, it's a good. It would be good if there was a quick way. I know
Well, it
there's a
would
thing.
be.
I
Yeah.
know there's a thing you can do on the iPhone, and I haven't done it really, but you can create your own gestures. It's very possible if you delved into it enough, you could create a gesture to do just that.
Right. Okay.
So it's
Ooh.
essentially like an action.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So maybe you
Brilliant.
could.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rosie. Okay, let's go to Mitra. Mitra, so I really apologize. I'm not good at pronouncing names sometimes. Mitra, you should be able to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your question. Hi there.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
Good, thanks. Yeah, a quick question regarding the default browser. I've changed my default browser to be Google Chrome, but every time I open a link recently from a email or something, it straight takes me to the edge. I wonder what that's, I mean, it's not a Joe's question, but I was wondering if that's something that other people seems to experience.
Certainly there are problems. Yeah, certainly there are problems with the start menu. If you launch anything off the start menu that you search for, it will come up in Microsoft Edge, and that's Microsoft, and there's nothing really much you can do with that. I'm not sure about launching. Where are you launching the other links from? Was it a document you say?
No, from an email. You know, you
From an
receive
email
with a link, and then instead, I mean, despite the fact that default in the browser and the setting is.
So is that Microsoft? Is your email Microsoft Outlook? Is it, or is it some other email?
Outlook. Yeah, Outlook.
Don't see a reason why that should send you to Edge, because that should work according to the setting in Windows, how you set the default browser. I've never heard of that. But if you search anything off the start menu, you always come up in Edge, and that's just to do with Microsoft.
No, I have checked it. I've asked even a sighted friend to check, and it's
Right.
definitely the browser is set to Google Chrome, but it seems to open the Edge no matter. I mean, it's not the end of the world, because obviously I can copy and paste the link and put it in Google Chrome, but it's a bit annoying because, you know, it's just two events that I have to do.
Yeah, no, that would be annoying. I've not noticed that. It should follow the Windows setting, to be honest.
You do get some weird options sometimes, don't you, Tris, in like Outlook under the Trust Center settings. I wonder if there's something in there.
Yeah, there might be. Yeah, there might be something in there.
Yeah, maybe a remote support session, Mitra. If you got in touch with us on support, we could probably have a look.
Right. So where would that be the problem? Did you say? So in the setting of the Google?
It'll be somewhere in the options. You have to go File, Menu, Options.
Okay.
And there's a whole load of them. You just have to kind of work your way through them. But
yeah, one in particular is Trust Center. It might be worth exploring that.
Right. The other question quickly as well is the Kurzweil. I do have a more up-to-date laptop with JAWS 23, but I also got an old desktop with Windows 10 there with the Kurzweil attached to it. It's worth, I mean, what is your thought about Kurzweil? Is it worth kind of update that? I mean, especially with Windows 11, because I'm thinking of getting a new desktop at some point.
It's probably better to have the latest version, which currently is version 14. It's the major release for Kurzweil 1000. If you got that, you'll be fine. But if you're on an earlier one and you're using Windows 11, you might want to upgrade at that point. Because to be honest, I don't think we tested Kurzweil with earlier versions of Windows for a while.
So the version 14 will work with Windows 10?
It'll work with Windows 10, Windows 11. It doesn't matter. It'll be
Doesn't
fine.
matter, yeah.
What version you're on at the minute, or?
I'm not sure which version is it. I have to check it out. But...
Okay, so you just go into help and then about Kurzweil 1000. It should tell you there what you got.
Yeah, do I have to pay for this? I mean, I can't the latest version.
Yeah, but the good thing about Kurzweil upgrades, it doesn't matter what version you are coming from. It will always be £195. So even if you want a super old one.
Yeah, they got a flat rate. So even if you're on version 7, it'll still be the same price.
That's good. Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay. All right, Mitra, thank you for your questions.
Thanks.
We appreciate that. Thanks a million. Okay, we're going to fly through Catherine and Sandra. So, Catherine, we bring you on for a quick question, and Sandra, bring you on for a quick question, and then that will be today's webinar. So we thank everyone who has been engaging with us. Catherine, you should be able to unmute yourself. Hi, Catherine. Yeah.
Hey, this might be a question for another time, but I've got a website where the JAWS just goes really, really quiet with it, and it just sort of, the JAWS freezes, but the website still works.
Have you got other audio going on? Does it sound like
No.
ducking to you, Tris?
It sounds like a silent WAV file playing, and yeah, that would duck the JAWS speech probably. It might be one of those.
But anyway, I could maybe get someone to have a look at it at some point.
Yeah, maybe it'd be a case of just disabling the ducking feature for a little bit and just see whether that's what it is.
Yeah.
Then the question will be, well, how do you stop it from playing the sound file? There might be a way of doing that.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's that. But...
You can, if the ducking is on, you can do insert and spacebar together, followed by D for delta, and that should, I think that toggles audio ducking
toggle it off. Yeah,
yeah. So you can try that.
Try that and see if that works.
Okay.
All right, Catherine. Thanks very much. Hopefully that helped. Insert space and D. It's a handy keystroke. All right, Sandra. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay. Thanks for letting me speak again. I will talk fast. I got a notification a few weeks ago from Adobe asking me to make it the default for PDFs, and I thought it was anyway, so do that. And ever since then, every time I open a PDF, instead of opening it, it'll make a copy, and it'll be a sort of Word or RTF or something. So how do I undo that, where I just go back to opening a PDF and it'll open it? So if I press enter on a PDF, it literally creates a duplicate.
Never heard of it actually creating duplicates. I'd be headed back to the Windows Settings Center and try and just make sure you can verify that setting isn't enabled. Because what most frequently happens with Windows these days is the browser's become the default PDF opener, but it sounds like even that's not working. So yeah, probably go back into the Settings app and double check whether it's set for Adobe to do that. I know in Windows 11 it's even more difficult than it used to be because the way Windows 11 does its stuff.
Okay, how do you get to Windows settings? Windows A or something? I know that's the notification, isn't it?
Usually if you press Windows key and you do a little bit of tabbing, you can get to the Settings app.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sandra. Okay, that's just about our lot for today. I thought it was a really popular session. Thanks, guys. Maybe you'd come back again. It was pretty hopefully it wasn't too painful for either of you, but thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to have you back. So we'll do another tech surgery, if not this year, certainly early next year. Thanks to everybody who joined us today. We look forward to seeing everybody on our next webinar Wednesday session, which will be on the 4th of October. Ash and Tris, we're so grateful for your time. Thanks for, I know you guys are super busy in tech support, so thanks a million for joining us, and talk to you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, sir.